Hi there, and welcome to the Surviving and Thriving in Residency podcast. I'm Charley Lowry, your host and director of GME Relations at PracticeLink. This show is all about exploring the world of graduate and undergraduate medical education. We'll dive into the real-life experiences, successes, and challenges faced by medical students, residents, and fellows, while also highlighting valuable tools to support you, whether that's financial planning, student aid, or the many free resources provided by PracticeLink. If you're thinking about med school, currently studying, or deep into residency or fellowship, this podcast is here to offer insights and support to make your journey a bit easier than those before you. Today on Future Medical Docs, we have Captain Luke Jokerst from the U.S. Army with us today. We're going to be talking a little bit about some military options for medical students. I'll be the host. My name is Charley Lowry. I'm the director of GME Relations for PracticeLink, and we work closely with residency programs throughout the United States as well as military programs, just helping folks out where we feel like maybe there might be a gap in the education system, not necessarily with the education system itself, but just in how to find a job, how to go about the whole process, things that might not be talked about in the classroom so much. So that's a little bit about what we do. So I'll go ahead and let you tell me a little bit about your background and where you are right now.
Absolutely. Thank you, Charley.
Yep.
So my name is Captain Luke Jokerst. I've been in the Army for 5 years now. I am a medical operations officer by trade. You can kind of think of it as health administration. I manage our healthcare personnel. And I'm currently on a tour doing healthcare recruiting for the Army Medical Department. So looking for doctors and other medical professionals at different chapters throughout their career to join the Army and receive the great benefits the Army has to provide. A little bit about my personal life. So one of our main programs we'll be talking about today, the Health Profession Scholarship Program. My wife is actually on that program now. Her and I met in undergrad through the Reserve Officer Training Corps. I've been together for about 8 years, and she's in her 4 years. So we're very excited. Some of the aspects of the scholarship we'll talk about today, I'm experiencing firsthand with my wife. So kind of get two separate aspects to it.
Incredible. Okay. Yeah, that's a good thing. And then where are you based right now?
So I am out of Maryland Heights.
Okay.
We've got a department, a recruiting station out of St. Louis specifically dedicated for Army medicine. So I purely recruit with my 8 teammates for medical professionals in the St. Louis area.
Perfect. Okay. What are the primary benefits of joining the military as a medical student?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I think it is the opportunity to serve those who serve. At the end of the day, the profession of medicine is a field of honor and a field of providing healthcare services to your fellow citizen. And the profession of arms is the same thing, defending the rights of your fellow citizen of your country. So you have that opportunity to not only serve as a healer and serve as a physician, but also serve as a physician within the Army, providing care for our men and women who serve our country. Additionally, we kind of have the aspect of practicing what we call true medicine. So within Army medicine, we're all on the same team. We're not having to deal with competition for patients, not having to deal with productivity goals, deal with malpractice insurance or trying to figure out insurance for a patient. We're all on the same insurance policy. So it's a unified effort to just provide the best possible care for our soldiers.
You might have just sold yourself to a lot of people right there just with that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And some of the more, you've got intrinsic motivation, but also extrinsic motivation, right? Financial stability is huge, especially through the listeners who are in medical school or considering starting medical school or different post-undergraduate education. The bills there are high, right? Mm-hmm. And what the Army can offer is let's give you financial stability throughout your education, throughout your residency and development as a physician so that you don't have to worry about that. You can focus on your education. And then you get the opportunity to learn and develop in some of the best graduate medical education the world has to offer. What we need from our Army doctors is to be able to perform absolute miracles dealing with casualties and casualty amounts that you would rarely see in the civilian sector, and also perform that in an austere environment where you may not have all the facilities and materials that you would regularly have at a typical civilian hospital. So because of that, we invest very heavily in our GME program, and by joining Army Medicine, you have the opportunity of that great training.
Nice. How does military support medical students through their education, such as loan repayment or scholarships?
Absolutely, kind of the financial programs available to our med students. So our primary scholarship is what's called the Health Profession Scholarship Program, or HPSP.
Okay.
And what that's going to offer for students financially is they're going to get full tuition to any accredited United States medical school. It can be an MD or a DO program. So they're still going to apply to medical school like they regularly would, and then simultaneously apply with us for the scholarship.
Okay.
They get that full tuition payment. They get a $20,000 signing bonus when they start medical school. They're going to get a little over $2,800 per month while they're in school to cover rent, living expenses, what have you. They're just going to get that $2,800 payment. So however they want to spend it or however they see fit. We also do reimbursement for school-related supplies, and that's not just supply materials, but also testing fees, anything related to their academic studies. So USMLE, COMLEX, they're going to get reimbursement for that.
Okay.
So financially, that's what the Health Profession Scholarship Program. I'll kind of talk about some of the residency advantages as well with that program here in a second.
Okay.
The other opportunities that are available to them is we have a medical dental student stipend program, otherwise known as MDSSP. The HPSP program is for active duty or full-time employment after school, so you're going to be a full-time employed physician in the Army. The MDSSP program is our reserve, so part-time service version of that scholarship, of a medical school scholarship.
Okay.
They get the $2,800 stipend per month with the MDSSP.
Okay.
They're not getting the full tuition. They're not getting the $20,000 signing bonus. They're not getting the reimbursement, but they are getting that stipend to help kind of supplement them while they are in medical school.
I mean, that's living expenses,
yeah,
right?
exactly,
Per month.
to
That's
cover
your
those
rent
living
and-
expenses.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
The other option we have available for those who have already graduated medical school and may still have student loans that they need to take care of, we do have the Health Professions Loan Repayment Program.
Okay.
And it varies on who qualifies for that program by specialty and whether they're looking at full-time service or part-time service, but they can receive up to $250,000 in a loan repayment if they are post-medical school, if they do qualify for that program.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to offer, I think. What's the general steps? So if a person were applying for medical school today and also applying for this program, thinking they're going to enlist, so how does, what's the progression on that? I guess what's the steps that they would do?
Absolutely. So, and I do want to dispel kind of a misconception there that we deal with very frequently, enlistment. What are the steps they take to enlist? So I think a unique aspect to know about this, and a common misconception we run into, is that they are not enlisting. They are commissioning through these programs.
Oh, right.
And,
Commissioning.
And,
Yeah.
and most people I talk to do not understand what that delineation is. And it gets into kind of one of our biggest barriers in Army medicine is people just don't know we exist. You think of the Army, and what do you think of? You think of the warfighter throwing grenades, kicking down doors, what have you, right?
Right.
You think of the infantryman joining at 18 out of high school and going to basic training where the drill sergeant's screaming at them and they're crawling in the mud under barbed wire and all that fun stuff. That's a common conception. Through these programs, they're going to be a commissioned officer. So if you've ever heard the term in movies or what have you, so myself, Captain Jokerst, I'm a commissioned officer. If you've ever heard the term lieutenant, captain, major, colonel, general, that's the realm, and through our med school programs, that's the realm these medical professionals are going to fall into. So the route that it goes and the training regime that they receive is very different than an enlisted soldier or someone joining out of high school. The first thing you're going to want to do, even if you are a freshman in undergrad or a sophomore in undergrad and considering medical school or considering some post-undergraduate professional medical education, is you need to reach out to your local Army medicine recruiter. We are assigned, so I'm based out of St. Louis. I cover all the way over to Columbia with Mizzou. I cover Southern Illinois, Southeastern Missouri, St. Louis University, Washington University, just to name a few of our schools. But there are different Army medical recruiters for the entire country, and we have full teams that are purely dedicated to helping these students. It's not an online portal like when you're applying to undergrad or medical school or what have you nowadays. I am your online portal. Your medical recruiter works with you hand in hand. And each program requires different timelines, different pre-requirements for you to have an MCAT score, or maybe you need a letter of acceptance, or maybe you do not need a letter of acceptance to medical school, depending on the program and your background information. And it all starts with working with that medical recruiter to kind of understand exactly what your timeline looks like for your situation.
Gotcha. And so now, do you have a physical presence on the campuses, like here at WashU, or how do you, I'm sure you attend events and things like that, but what's your main way of getting this word to residents?
Absolutely, the main way of contacting our audience. So we have a lot of different methods. We work with GME coordinators. We have brought out Army physicians to participate in grand rounds and cover different specific topics of their experience within Army medicine when it comes to the resident population. We are typically, you'll find a booth with a good U.S. Army or Army medicine sign at most of your career fairs or presentations. We do a lot for our pre-med audience. We do a lot of suture clinics, intubation clinics, phlebotomy classes, kind of giving them those basic level skills or just introduction into those skills that are going to be relevant for their post-undergraduate education. So we host a lot of those programs throughout our undergraduate schools and even in our schools of medicine to spread the word about the programs that we offer.
Physicians, are you looking for the right practice in the perfect community? We can help. Schedule a quick free call with a PracticeLink physician relations specialist today. We'll connect you with recruiters and help guide you toward the job and place of your dreams. Visit PracticeLink.com for more information.
What are some of the common misconceptions that you see concerning joining the Army as a medical professional?
People just don't know what AMED is. And AMED is the Army Medical Department. We are the only branch of service. There are opportunities in other branches, and we love our sister services. But the Army Medical Department, we have recruiters that I am purely here to recruit medical professionals. I'm not your high school recruiter.
Sure.
So that's a big misconception we deal with, is just knowing about us. And then knowing the breadth of what Army medicine is. So we have medical corps, which is obviously your doctors, your MDs, and your DOs primarily. We've got nurse corps, your nurses, veterinary corps, your veterinarians, dental corps, your dentist. Pretty self-explanatory, the first corps.
Yeah.
Specialist corps is for physician assistants, occupational therapists, physical therapists, and dietitians.
Okay.
And then my corps is the medical service corps, which kind of is a little bit of everything else. So we have social workers, psychologists, podiatrists. My job is medical operations. A lot of different, over 113 different routes in Army medicine to join the team. We know Army medicine exists now, but I don't want to join Army medicine because I don't want to be an emergency med doctor. I'm not a trauma surgeon. I'm not those critical care areas that I'm sure that's all the Army has to offer. That's a big misconception we deal with too.
Which ties right back into that whole warfare.
Yeah, warfighter.
Right?
They just think of the movies, right? They think of what they've seen in the movies, and they're like, "Oh, that's all that Army medicine is," and it's absolutely not the case. So we have, as I mentioned earlier, a very robust GME program, and we have over 24 different residency specialties that are available for our health profession scholarship recipients when they do that military match. So from pediatrics, internal med, family med, of course we do have emergency medicine and general surgery, orthopedic surgery. Absolutely, we do have those critical ones, but we have the full gamut of residency specialties offered. And when it comes to fellowship opportunities as well, we have over 114 different fellowship programs that are currently offered through Army medicine.
Okay.
Just to name a few, we have so many. We have geriatric medicine, organ transplant, surgery, and cytopathology, just to name a few interesting ones that you probably wouldn't necessarily anticipate with Army medicine. So we've got a full gamut of available options that isn't just trauma medicine, as a lot of people would think.
And that's amazing. And then how many locations do you know, like right off? How many residency locations are there?
So residency locations, we have them throughout the United States. They are all in the United States. We do not have overseas residency programs. While we have locations all over the country, we have 4 primary locations that host almost every specialty that we offer, with some exception. That'll be the National Consortium in Washington, D.C., and Bethesda, Maryland, near D.C. Sure. We have Tripler Army Medical Center in Hawaii. We've got Madigan Army Medical Center over in Washington State. And then in San Antonio, Texas, which is the headquarters of Army Medicine, we host, again, almost all of our residency programs at that program as well. But we do have spotty, 1 or 2 residency programs at this clinic or this hospital throughout the U.S.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. A lot of residencies, a lot of fellowships. And yeah, I didn't even realize that. I mean, of course, I think in just in general, you think more maybe emergency medicine, surgery. It's just like you say, common misconception. Yeah. So it's good that you're here.
Yeah, and I will say, if you're an emergency med or trauma surgeon or what have you, we are absolutely in need of those professionals as well. But we at the end of the day, we're not just supporting the service member, we're supporting their family. So if my wife were to get pregnant, the OBGYN she's going to be going to is going to be an Army OBGYN. The pediatrician we go to for our children is going to be an Army pediatrician. So we cover the full scope of medicine of what not only our service members, but their families will need as well.
Sure. What happens once medical school is over? So do you have the option of being active duty, or do you immediately start your residency? How does that work? Is there an option for completing your residency later or no?
Absolutely. So it matters what program you look at. So we mentioned the Health Profession Scholarship Program. That's our active duty one.
Sure.
The Medical Dental Student Stipend Program, that's the reserve one. Mm-hmm. So with the Health Profession Scholarship Program, that scholarship allows you to gain access to the military GME.
Okay.
So we'll go over the more basic one, the MDSSP. So MDSSP, you're getting that $2,800 per month while you're in medical school. You're going to participate in civilian match like you regularly would. We're just giving you that additional $2,800. And then you have financial stipend programs while you're in residency to help supplement your income while you're in residency. Mm-hmm. And that's even available. Let's say you didn't do any of our programs and you're completing medical school. We have active duty residency stipend programs that are available as well.
Okay.
So on the reserve side of the house, if you were to go to MDSSP, and reserve, that's that part-time service, not full-time service like active duty. Mm-hmm. You have the Specialized Training Assistance Program. So different name, but very similar to MDSSP, just specific for residency.
Okay.
And you're going to be receiving that $2,800 supplemental income from the Army in addition to whatever you're getting paid at your civilian residency program, right?
Okay.
When we talk about our residency financial incentive programs, it is by specialty. So again, changes year for year. Talk to your recruiter to see if your specialty applies. You do not have to be an MDSSP recipient to apply and receive the STRAP, the Specialized Training Assistant Program incentive, supplemental income while you're in residency. We also, on the active duty side of the house for residency incentive, have the Financial Assistance Program, or FAP. Again, varies by specialty on who qualifies for it. You're getting that $2,800 a month, but you're also getting a $45,000 annual grant for each year you're in residency, and that $45,000 is tax exempt. So that's an incentive for, now again, you go $2,800 for the specialized training assistants, 28 and 45. Well, you're going to be serving full time for us as active duty with that financial assistance program versus serving part time with us with the specialized training assistance program.
Gotcha.
So that's the financial incentives for residency. Now, the Health Profession Scholarship Program is a completely different story. So if you were an HPSP recipient and you received those benefits while you're in medical school, the full tuition, $20,000 signing bonus, $2,800 per month, reimbursement on your supplies. For the most part, your first 3 years of medical school are virtually identical to your civilian counterparts. The Army's just front the bill. So my wife, she's in her 4th year of medical school on this scholarship. Her day-to-day was the same. Her rotations, she conducted through her school, just like her civilian counterparts at her school. Sub-Is get a little bit different because as an HPSP recipient, you're going to participate in military match rather than civilian match.
Sure.
So your sub-Is, you're going to be looking at the military hospitals and military residency programs that you're interested in, right? So her rotations, she did 1 or 2 at civilian programs because you do want to get that experience and get that exposure, but primarily she was focusing on those military programs while her civilian counterparts were focusing on the civilian programs that are relevant for them.
Sure.
The way the military match works for our HPSB recipients. So rather than match in March, like the civilian sector of their M4 year, our HPSB recipients conduct match in December. So that's when they find out where they're going to. So my wife this year, December 11th happens to be the day this year, but mid-December is when the
far
date.
off.
Yeah, we're right around the corner. We're both holding our breath, hoping it plays out.
Yeah.
And so they're going to find out 3 months prior to their civilian counterparts what program they're going into. There's a lot of advantages to doing military match. First and foremost, we have an 85% first choice specialty match rate on average. So very high match rate to getting your preferred specialty. We also have an 82% location match rate. So 85% of our personnel are matching into their preferred specialty, and 82% are not only matching into their preferred specialty, but are getting their first choice location as well. So very, very good match statistics there. When they're graduating medical school after they've done their match, they're going to go off to our military residency programs, our GME that the Army offers. And I mentioned at the beginning, a great advantage of joining the military is gaining access to our GME. And there's a few reasons why our residency programs are awesome. Obviously, the match statistics are great.
Oh, yeah.
That is good to know. And as you're getting into match, you're hopefully excited about being able to have those statistics to back up your likelihood of getting your preferred specialty. But then when you get into the residency programs, there's advantages there. So one is the quality. The majority of our residency programs are hosted at Trauma Ones. They are the premier hospitals for the military. As I mentioned earlier, we need the best and brightest, and we need our physicians ready to perform miracles in potentially austere environments, right?
Yes.
So we prepare our residents very well. They get very good training from very senior physicians within the Army. And when they go and take their specialty board exam at the end of residency, our residents have a 96% first-time pass rate on that exam. So we really prepare our physicians in residency to be able to do their job as independent practicing physicians at the end of residency.
Sure.
Another big advantage, and as we talk, you'll kind of find there's the intrinsic and extrinsic, right? So financial, obviously, big topic, especially when you're a medical student. You're getting the HPSB, you're getting those benefits, getting that stipend, but in residency too, you're at an advantageous position. So you are an active duty captain when you start your residency. Like myself, Captain Jokerst, you are an active duty captain. As such, you are receiving all the active duty benefits an active duty captain would receive while you're in residency. So you're receiving full-time pay, you're receiving housing allowances, you're receiving sustenance allowances, you're receiving all these different incentives, full-time health and dental, or no cost to you, health and dental insurance for you and your family, 30 days paid vacation per year, the federal holidays off as well. That's an additional 28 days off that I like to enjoy. And you're looking at, typically, based on our FY24 pay charts, you're looking at between a $93,000 to $103,000 PGY-1 starting salary as an active duty captain resident in the Army. So I'm getting out of medical school. Not only am I debt-free, but I am also net positive. I've been getting $2,800 per month while I'm in school, $20,000 signing bonus, and getting these different benefits. And then I'm starting with a fairly generous initial PGY-1 salary compared to what you typically would see in the civilian market.
That's a significant difference.
Yeah. So you also get that financial stability. Another big advantage is we're not just investing in your education as a physician. You're a commissioned officer, right? You are going to be a subject matter expert in medicine, but you are also a leader within the United States Army. And as such, we are going to invest in your development as a leader. So our HPSB recipients, we send them to the direct commissioning course, which is kind of most of our officers go through the Reserve Officer Training Corps, West Point, or different programs like that. We have a specific program for our medical professionals to prioritize their time. They don't have the availability necessarily to take a break and do 5 months of training here or what have you to get that education. So we have a specific course available for them with the direct commissioning course.
Okay.
We also send them to the basic officer leaders course for Army medicine prior to them starting residency. And what that basic officer leaders course looks like is it's not only teaching you, well, how does Army medicine work and what's my role in Army medicine, but it's teaching you how to lead soldiers and how to be a commissioned officer and leader, understanding the structure of the Army, how the Army communicates. And so we're developing you in a high-quality GME program that's going to make you a very top-caliber professional in your field from a physician standpoint, but we're also going to make you a very confident leader as well.
Physicians, have you finished training and now you're job hunting? PracticeLink.com's Resource Center is packed with free tools to help. From creating your CV, interview prep, and even tips to ace that site visit, we've got you all covered. Visit PracticeLink.com's Resource Center today, and while you're there, create your free account to connect with employers and view exclusive job opportunities.
What are the most common medical specialties needed within the military? And do you know right off like what maybe the most common medical specialties needed are?
So it varies year for year. Okay. So for the medical school, the Health Profession Scholarship Program, right, we're not looking for specific physicians, just if you're interested in going to medical school.
Okay.
We do get a mission for what we call direct commission. So those are fully practicing physicians in their respective field, and we have a different mission each year of how many general surgeons do we need, how many psychiatrists do we need, what have you. That number changes year to year, and in turn, the incentives that I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit, the incentives associated with those different specialties changes year to year by the year of the Army. But we need physicians, and that is one of the biggest things to keep in mind as an overarching principle, because the exact specialties we need vary, but we need all specialties at the end of the day with our current climate, with how full our medical corps is with Army doctors. In terms of the different specialties we're focusing on, it covers the full gamut, because we have all those different residency programs that we offer, and we're constantly trying to fill those seats and get more physicians in all of the primary fields, 24 different specialties. And then with those fellowships, we're needing different types of specialized physicians with the fellowship programs that they have completed that we try and home grow through our own fellowship programs, but we also are looking for in the civilian sector as well.
Okay.
So I don't want to give you the date and time of what we're looking for now, because that may change, a month from now, 2 months from now as we go about the year. But pretty much all physicians under the sun, we have a spot for you in Army medicine for the most part.
So what would be some of the reasons, maybe, what would be the main reasons that people would not take advantage of this? Is there, I don't know if you even have that data, but is there, is it common misconceptions, do you think? Or what hinders people from pursuing this?
Absolutely. So while the financial incentives for this program are fantastic, I always talk to my recruits, and at the end of the day, if you're joining purely for financial motivation, you're joining for the wrong reasons.
Sure. Yeah.
A lot of people, when they need to look at, do I want to serve in the armed forces? Yes, you are going to be a physician. Yes, you are going to be practicing your craft. When you talk to Army physicians, and I think you'll talk to Lieutenant Colonel Mary Knoll in a future podcast. She'll talk about her life as an Army physician. But when you talk to Army physicians, what they typically are very passionate about is that pairing of the profession of medicine with the profession of arms, wanting not only to serve and help people through medical practice, but also wanting to serve the sons and daughters who volunteered to serve for our country. Not everyone is cut out for the military. There are some barriers to service. Again, we have a lot more leniency with potential waivers. If you were previously told that you were unqualified for service, I still recommend you talk to a medical recruiter if you've got that passion to serve. But you do need to have that passion. And I think sometimes we have a differential when we're talking to students or wherever they're at in their career, that they really need that drive to want to serve their country.
Gotcha. And then do a lot of the folks you recruit, do they make it a career? Do they stay for 20 years?
Varies. There's a lot of factors to consider there. So the Health Profession Scholarship Program, for example, just to take a snapshot, and I can talk about my wife a little bit with this one too. Depending on what residency program you go into will affect what your service obligation is after residency.
Gotcha.
So if I serve 7 years and my service obligation is up, okay, I've had plenty of time to feel out if this is a fit for me. If it is a fit for me, then all right, let's carry on.
Sure.
However, for my wife, she's looking at pursuing neurosurgery. Well, fingers crossed, find out December 11th. But neurosurgery with the residency length and her service obligation, as well as she's in a unique situation because she did ROTC as well.
Okay.
She's going to be at 14 plus years of active duty service when her obligation from her different benefits are up. So with her in that situation, regardless whether you serve 7 years or 14 years, if you love it, you love it. But if you're at 14 years, what's 6 more? What's 6 more at that point?
That's so true.
So that's a big factor there. Another factor that we see is reserve versus active duty. And that's another important factor to consider as well, is maybe I'm ready to settle down, open my own private practice, what have you. But I don't want to give up on the Army just yet. I want to have that geographic autonomy, or I want to do whatever my civilian sector pursuits may be, but I do like the Army. So we do have a lot of people who do their active duty obligation, their full-time service obligation, and then transition into the Army Reserves, just serving with us part-time while they pursue their civilian route. It just kind of depends on each individual and what their motivation is, and also how long they've been in the service already.
Gotcha. Seems like it would be really difficult to transition out into like a private practice. It just seems like that would be really hard, and it would be a harsh reality coming out of the military and opening a private practice, after being so well taken care of, and then you're going to have all these expenses and costs, and just seems like it would be really hard to leave once you were in.
And that is something I will say too. I'm actually working with a doctor right now who did the Health Profession Scholarship back in 2000, completed his residency with the Army, served his years in the Army, was at about 9 years of service, and got out in I believe 2014, around there, and went and opened a private practice and did all that fun stuff, and is now coming back to me in 2024, and I'm working to put him back into the Army, saying, I kind of took for granted what I had here, having to deal with running my own private practice now. But I mean, different people have different priorities. Sometimes you want to experience different aspects of medicine, and the Army's very supportive in that way of, hey, if you want to go and try it out in the civilian sector, thank you for your service, thank you for your time, and if you don't like it, come back and we'll see what we have available for you.
Yes. Let's see, what advice would you give to a medical student who was considering this? What would be your advice to them?
Absolutely. First and foremost, we've talked about great benefits. You got to have a sense of wanting to serve. So those medical students who are interested, consider the benefits you're going to receive financially, consider the opportunity for a great GME program, and then consider, is this your calling? Because it really is a calling, a calling to want to serve your country. Talk to a recruiter. At the end of the day, I think people are fearful, that if I talk to a recruiter, I'm locked in, right?
Right.
I would say 95% of my phone calls are information-driven phone calls. I talk to freshmen, sophomores. Most of our applicants, we're not working with them when they're applying for the Health Profession Scholarship Program till their senior year or gap year in their undergraduate education. But I talk to freshmen and sophomores day in, day out, just to give them the information to consider. Talk to a recruiter, get the full gamut of information on what the opportunities are that are available to you. And the other thing that recruiter can do for you is allow you to talk to someone who's in the shoes that you are aspiring to fulfill one day.
Sure.
Medical operations officer, right? I never went to medical school. I can't tell you what it's like to be an Army doctor besides what I've talked to my peers about. But a day in the life, I can't tell you that. But we can put you in contact with people that align with what your aspirations are to be, to hear about a day in the life. So absolutely reach out to your recruiter. The overlap is there, though. The personnel who are interested in pursuing medicine and caring for people, that same drive mirrors the passion to serve a lot of the time.
Sure.
So when you get to combine those passions in a career as an Army doctor, not only are you caring for individuals, but you're caring for our service members. That's a very fulfilling and honorable profession. And if that is something that drives you and motivates you, that sense of service to your country or service to your community, the Army is going to be a very good fit for you. And talk to a recruiter. The worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to give you information. It's not going to match what you want to do, and you go about your merry way. Best thing that can happen is could be a lifelong career doing what you love in Army medicine.
Let's talk a little bit more about the match. So the match is, you said, is coming up December for your wife, right? So military match, how do they don't rank? Do they rank programs the same as the civilian match?
Yes, so it's a separate application site, but it mirrors what the civilian match is like, just a slightly adjusted timeline.
Okay.
So the timeline you're looking at for military matches, they're going to be working on their applications through the Army-specific site for and conducting their sub-Is through July to October. And then mid-October is when that application deadline is going to be due, where their preferences are going to be due and their full application.
Okay.
Mid-December, which, as I mentioned, this year is December 11th, is when that application notification is going to come out for those students.
Okay.
And there's different scenarios. Hopefully, right, 85% first choice specialty match rate, 82% location. Hopefully, December 11th, your fears are over and you found out where you want to go and it's somewhere you're happy with.
Yep.
But there's also different opportunities available depending on how that mid-December date, that application announcement plays out.
Okay.
So if an individual does not match, they can rank a secondary specialty, similar to like you would in the civilian sector. And there is a rebuttal board or scrambled for the unfilled position. So very similar to the supplemental offer and acceptance program, the SOAP program. SOAP program.
Sure.
An advantage of, well, I won't say an advantage. Army medicine, it's not as tight of timelines as SOAP of having that
SOAP
72.
Is like 3 to 5 days, right? I mean, that's the max.
Very, very tight timelines. So you have more options available to you in that rebuttal board. You can look at the available positions that are still there and similar to SOAP, interview and preference them there.
So they still call it a scramble?
Yes, we call it a scramble.
Okay.
Yes. You can also conduct a transitional internship year.
Okay.
So you're going to be active duty. We talked about those different active duty benefits that our PDY ones are going to be receiving. You can go into a transitional year and think of this similar to like a research year on the civilian sector. If you don't match in March, you can do a research year, build up your resume, and go back into March with the class behind you in the following match.
Okay.
The next year group. Okay. So you can do a transition year. The advantage of doing a transition year is you are an active duty captain during that transition year. So I have a cousin who went through the route and did the research year, and hearing about the costs associated with doing that research year on top of medical school, pretty steep. Our transitional year, you have the opportunity to go and try and match into a PGY2 position in December, the following year's match, similar to a research year in the civilian sector, but you're getting that active duty pay while you're in that transitional year. From that transitional year, there is an option to do what's called a general medical officer tour. So general medical officer, they are not licensed by any specialized board, right? They haven't completed a specific residency, but right, they've completed medical school, so they can be in a general medical officer capacity. This is typically more of an advisory role, but there are different opportunities to do within Army for general medical officer besides just advisory capacity. But that is also an option available to them if they want to. All right, I'm not having competitive opportunities to match into my preferred specialty. I don't think I have a good shot of going at it in my PGY 2 year to go into the next year's match. Instead, I'm going to do a general medical officer tour, complete that, and then either through the military or through the civilian sector, go and pursue my residency aspirations there.
Wow. And then what about fellowship? Do you know if you were applying for fellowship, how easy is that to get into a fellowship? within the military?
Absolutely. So the Army is very supportive of our Army doctors pursuing fellowship opportunities. The fellowship GME is not necessarily captured through the HPSP program.
Okay.
So the HPSP program, right, you're going to get your medical school, you're going to do your residency through the Army.
Sure.
And then you're going to enter the service as a med physician, a pediatrician, what have you, and then whatever you complete your NCN and maintain or achieve your independent board licensure in. And then once you're in the service on active duty, there are tons of fellowship opportunities. As I mentioned, over 114 fellowship opportunities that we're currently offering, and we're constantly growing that list too. It is not unheard of for our Army doctors to find a specific fellowship opportunity, even if it might be in the civilian sector, and present that as a potential option for them to pursue and for them to be able to pursue that. Case-by-case basis, absolutely, but Army is very supportive of the progression of our physicians' graduate medical education and pursuit into fellowships.
Yeah, because I think fellowship, now seems to be more in demand than it ever has been. From the residents that I speak to and work with a lot, so many are going into fellowships now. So I figure military is probably very similar.
Yes,
in that
absolutely.
respect. Yeah. So what else? Anything you want to tell us or tell our listeners, tell students or residents or even medical folk who are listening? Anything you want to tell them before we wrap up?
Absolutely. Biggest thing I would say is talk to a recruiter. We are going to give you specific information for whatever field you may be in, right? We focused primarily today on our programs for residents, programs for medical school, but dental school, veterinary school, physician assistants, occupational therapy, kind of the full gamut, over 113 different areas of concentration. So even if you're not necessarily a medical professional, or if you have a colleague that may be a nurse or considering going to CRNA school or what have you, see what Army Medicine has to offer. The one thing that I will say, besides the benefits we talked about, is the reason that I stayed in. Your impact you are going to have on your soldiers' lives in the Army is non-comparable to the civilian sector, in my personal opinion. The thing that has kept me in as a commissioned officer in the United States Army is to see my soldiers under my command grow and develop and be able to be that helping hand, not only in their professional life, but in their personal life. They talk about the family that you receive when you join the service, brotherhood and sisterhood of arms, right?
Sure.
It's true. That sense of community, it's comparable, and it's one of those non-tangible aspects of serving that I think a lot of people don't necessarily comprehend until they're in, and they don't necessarily realize what they had until they get out. So I would encourage you, if you want that camaraderie where everyone is united behind a cause to care for each other, to support our country, and surrounded by individuals with the same values and same passion for service, not only to their country, but to their community and to each other, the Army is going to be a great fit for you there.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, I hope that you will come back. If we can ever do anything for you, let us know.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.